Okay, I think I have got the show started. Here we go. Wow, sometimes technology does its own thing and makes it very difficult. How you going, guys? Put more coal in the boiler. It's a bit like that, isn't it? It's a bit like that some mornings. Well, welcome to Pixel Chatter number 64. It was a bit of a delayed start there. I went to start it and it told me my internet was way too slow to go. Just did not want to start. So how funny is that, eh? Hope you're all doing well. It's been a month since we've done a Pixel Chatter, and today is number 64. When I'm 64, well, you still, what is it? I can't say. I'm not going to sing. Anyway, happy Pixel Chatter morning to you. Who have we got in the chat box? G'day Susan. G'day Anthony. Aussie Paul. How you going? Tim. G'day. Greg. G'day. Another Tim. So two Tims. Amanda. Good morning. Got one of your images this morning, Amanda. We're going to take a look at. Izzy. G'day. Brian. All right. Cool. Good to see some of you hanging around. I'm just going to bring the chat up on my phone so I can swap from that screen because I had that little hiccup. I hadn't quite flicked over to using my phone, which is always a bit of an issue. So here we go. Where is it? We'll get this up, and that gives me the chat. I'll get rid of the audio. We don't want that. All right. I think I'm in the right place. I'll just type a little something in there. There we go. Yes. Cool bananas. All right, Skinny Ben. Yes, it's happening, isn't it? It's something I wasn't very public about at the beginning, and I think maybe because I was worried I wasn't going to, be as proactive as I needed to be. I don't know. Maybe I didn't want that accountability or publicity, but certainly now I'm pretty proud of where I've got to. A couple of 100 grams off of losing 20 kilos, which is just sensational. Since February 4. So pretty happy with that. Thanks for noticing, Paul. Good morning, Spanner. How you going? Okay, so where's my run sheet? Need my run sheet. It's funny, the boss has written the winners. I won't write it. I won't show who they are. The boss has written the winners on a brochure for the Simply Red Challenge. Funny how it's all going on. Let me have a look. Why did that stop? That was weird. My phone stopped. There we go. All right. So first of all, thanks so much for tuning in, and thanks to the Patreons for joining us. Really do appreciate the VIPs that support the show and the channel and everything that we do here at On Three Legs. So it's really, really appreciated. It's great to have you guys as a group. The other thing is anybody who comes to one of my workshops gets added to the VIB group now as well. So I'm going to add them in. And I am running some workshops. So it's a good time for me to mention that Vivid 29 is underway. I've got a workshop scheduled for, 2019, Vivid 2019. The Vivid show or the Vivid festival is coming up, starting on the 24th of May. I never go on a Friday or a Saturday night or at the very beginning because it's insane. Typically, I find that a weeknight is better. And towards sort of Monday, sometimes Monday can be a bit hectic, but Tuesdays and Wednesdays are typically the quietest days. So that's when I do my workshops. So I've got a workshop on the 29th of May in Vivid, and I've already got, I think, 4 tickets sold, and I just had an email from there about a 5th one. So they're just sorting that out. And I allow a maximum of 8 people. So it's going to sell out in the next couple of days. If you want to come along, come along. Once that is sold out, there is a chance I'll put another one on. I don't know. I need to look at my diary and just see what's going on. But at this stage, I've got just the one workshop. So if you want to come along, 29th of May, come and join me at Vivid. And during Vivid, I will show you how to get some stunning shots. It's very difficult to capture because not only is it dark and there's a lot of people, but all the lights are moving. So it can be quite challenging to get good shots. And I've been running that workshop every year, and people love it. So it just helps you get some great shots. All right, let's get stuck straight in there because I did start a little bit late because of the little hiccup I had with the internet. at the beginning there, so I apologise for that. But what I do want to do is quickly jump straight into the challenges. Let's do that. Let's jump into the challenge. Susan says, enjoyed the Tassie things you've shown us. Great. Who we got there? SD Bailey. Hello. Welcome to the show. Ozolo66 box. G'day. Good to see you back from Tas. Thank you. All right. I'm going to jump straight into, let me bring this up, the photo challenge. So the photography challenge, by the way, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, for those people that are in the On Three Legs VIP private online group, which is this one here, we have a challenge every couple of weeks, and the challenge is picked by the challenge winner. And so this particular challenge in between, we had a bit longer to do this one because of the fact that I was going away to Tassie, and it was a beautiful trip, really loved it. But it gave you guys extra time to do the Simply Red challenge. And this challenge was picked by Therese Elsie. Therese is away at the moment, so she's probably going to have to catch up on this a little bit later to see what photos that you took. But I'll go through the entries and then I'll tell you which ones the boss picked as the honourable mention and the winner. So let's do this. All right, so this is one from Therese Elsie. Lest we forget, there's a poppy monument in Gosford Park to commemorate Anzac Day. Therese Elsie again. She's not sure on the flower. She said the bee is a Numian. Beautiful red flowers there. Tim Trim. He says, I believe this is a spiny orb weaver. Although its colouring is unusual. Hopefully the arachnophobes can appreciate the beauty. Yes, I'm a bit of an arachnophobe. It's an ugly looking creature, but I don't know if I'd call it beauty, but it is interesting. How's that? Red Thielen, massive controlled burn off in the hills, cause red cloud. Yeah, I always notice that when we get burn offs, we get beautiful redness in the clouds, which is nice. Rob Roy, annual Tulip Festival. Yeah, we saw some great images from Rob last year from the Tulip Festival. It looks like he's back at it. Amazing plants, amazing flowers, lots of them. Once again, same Tulip Festival. He said, I know the flowers are not red, but the balloon and the windmill is. Nice save there. Nice save. The Red Sea. So this is his name. He's called it the Tulip Festival. Beautiful, aren't they? What a top spot. Matt Sandquist. This is the Red Snake. A really big bridge junction near to me, which connects several roads. Beautiful. Okay. Anthony Younghusband, South Australian Red. He was on an Outback Australian sabbatical. I was watching some of his photos. It was awesome. Somewhere I'd love to be. Oh, check this one out. Tommy Halberg. Maybe not so simple, but still red. Minibuses waiting for the next trip to Mong Kok in Hong Kong. Tommy's over there in Hong Kong. Look at that, eh? Very, very busy looking. Very busy. Ren Thielen, Red Sunset. Oh, gorgeous shot. Absolutely gorgeous. Matt Sandquist. In Sweden, there's a lot of red houses, and that's because the 18th and 19th century, even for those that had not much money, red paint was affordable. Ah, there you go. I always wondered why. I thought it was easier to find them in the snow. Oh, dear. Stephen Cast. Not enough cloud for a really red morning, but this one is trying hard. Oh Hope Beach. Beautiful shot. Golden Hour, an autumn tree. Nice stuff from Stephen Cast. Simply Red, an orchid swallowtail butterfly caterpillar in defensive display from Michael Hilly. That's a nice macro shot, buddy. Very close up. Dennis Stewell, Red Roses by Night, light painted. Very cleverly done. I like that. Lady in Reddish, Whale Island in the golden hour. Nice. Oh Hope Beach. That's where Stephen lives. Lucky for him. Beautiful spot. Aha. This was the same image that Anthony uploaded before. This is the high-res version because he was at home, so he uploaded a better version. Nice one. Some of Australians Desert from a DJI Mavic. Beautiful. Therese Elsie, an autumn leaf, obviously, very red. Nice. Jill Heath, some light painting. Lots of entries for this one. So Simply Red went off well. Amanda Keys in Tassie, some red fungi. Nice macro shot. Laurel Box. Thanks, Tim, for helping Laurel get this uploaded. Nicely done. Beautiful. Love these little Mario Kart fungis. Laurel Box, some red leaves in autumn. Nice shot. Beautiful. And there we go. That was all the entries. So some really good entries. And like I always say, whilst we pick the boss's favourite, you're all winners for getting out and shooting, because that's what this is all about, is getting you out there with your camera and enjoying more of the great outdoors. So let's look at the honourable mention. The boss has picked. It's here somewhere. There's a lot of photos. This is getting bigger, this challenge. There we go. So this was the boss's pick for the honourable mention. Well done, Jill Heath, for that. She really liked your light painting. Quite unique. I'm not sure how you did that. Looks like some sort of a stick or something that you've swirled through the frame. It looks great. And the winner goes to Michael Healy for this caterpillar. So the boss picked you, Michael. Michael, you get to pick the next challenge theme. You've got 48 hours to let me know. I will shoot you a message if you don't jump on live today and let you know that you are the winner. So congratulations. I'll just type it in there now. Congrats, Michael, on winning the Simply Red challenge. We'll type that in there. He'll get that message. Beautiful. So there you go. That's the photo challenge. Well done to Michael and everybody that entered. I think there were some great shots there. I think everybody, really embraced that challenge and had a good go, which is good. Oh, just enjoying it out of the Pixel Chatter Cup. So, pretty interesting day today in Australia, isn't it? We've all got a vote. Got a vote today. So I'll be doing that after I finish the show. Okay. So that was the Simply Red challenge. The other challenge that we do that doesn't have a winner as such is the editing challenge. So I'll quickly pop back into that. There we go. So this is the editing challenge. So this was a raw file that I uploaded. This is from a place called Bombo Quarry in Kiama. And beautiful spot for sunrise in particular. This was at a sunrise. This was a sunrise shot. And it's always interesting because when you get dark down here and light up here, you have to underexpose. So I thought this was a good raw file to share. You can see a little bit of colour over here. Very, very small amount bouncing off of the rocks. But it gave everyone the chance to sort of play with one of my raw files and edit it up. And so the editing challenge is people get to edit this up in any way they like and decide, whether they want to be creative or just edit it in any particular way. So let's take a look. So this one's from Matt Sandquist. He said, first I did some basic settings, increase exposure, down and highlights, up and shadows, some clarity, blacks and whites, vibrance and saturation, added 2 filters for the sky and continued with dodge and burning, and then finally cropped it to a 4:5 because the strong part is the rock formation to the left. Yeah, nice. Nice take on it. I love the fact that you brought the colours out on this rock here. Here's another one. This one's from Gregor West. He did initial asset in Capture One. Did a lot of the basic stuff. And then it's a bit hard to read through it all because it's long. Made a black and white version of the image, adjusted black and white levels and overlay with a very low transparency to globally reduce saturation whilst increasing contrast. Nice. So that's a good technique. Love it. Love the detail you brought out in the what I call the washing machine in the foreground there. Here's Ren Thielen, a dramatic black and white edit. Wow. Light round enhanced the colours, brightness, sliders to get base image that would convert well to black and white, and then converted using a gradient map and dodge and burn to dramatise the image in Photoshop. Wow. Very creative. Good stuff. Brian Willett, so it looks like he's gone with a square crop. He hasn't given me any description as to what he's done, but certainly like the way he's brought up the colours as well. Beautiful. And focused on the feature or the hero of the shot, which is the water swirling around this rock. Therese Elsie, still learning editing, so usually start with an auto adjustment in Lightroom and go from there. Good stuff. I'm glad that people that are just starting out with editing a post-processing are having a go. Beautiful. Some selective colour boost, crop, increased clarity, contrast on the rocks and the sky. Good stuff, Therese, for having a go. Like it. And then we're back to that. So there you go. Congratulations to all of those of you that had a go at the editing challenge. So it's good to see you giving it a go and seeing what you can come up with. So that was quite a high dynamic range image, that one. So it's always interesting to see. I will upload another one after the show today for the VIPs to have a look at. I might upload one of my Tassie images and see how you go with that. All right, let's have a look at the notes and see what's been going on. What have I been missing? Looks like Chris has turned up. G'day, Big Oz. A bit late, watching a podcast and didn't realise chatter was happening. Yes, we're here. We're here. To put reminders in your phones. If I was more consistent, maybe you'd know I was definitely here. Hey, Mike Healy's here. Woohoo, he says. Put your thinking cap on. Good man. Outback voting was last Thursday up here, so I already know who the winner is. No doubt. Great shots. Yes. Hello, everyone. G'day, Chance. How you going? Fantastic. All right. So, as I said, if you want to become a VIP, the link is down below the video. But essentially, you just join the Patreon community or come to a workshop and you get to join the VIP community. It's a closed community on Facebook. And it's a really great group of like-minded people. And the good thing about it, unlike a lot of the really big groups with that are free, is we don't tend to have any issue. Well, we don't have any issues. So you don't get all the riffraff in there. Well, I guess there is some professional riffraff, but not the nuisance kind of riffraff. And I say that lightheartedly. Of course, it's a great group of people. We're having a great time in there. And if you're not in there, you're missing out. We do have some new members this week. And we've got, like I said, I've got the workshop running. So I'm slowly inviting those people into the VIP group as well. That come along to the Vivid workshop that I'm running on the 29th of May. Good chance for me to plug it again. Couple of seats left, or a couple of tickets left. There's no seating. It's all standing. So there you go. Well done to those of you that entered the competition, the challenge. And Michael said he'll put his thinking caps on his thinking cap, and he will get another challenge going for us. All right, let's jump into the critique part of the show. So if you're new to Pixel Chatter, what we do is each show I critique a couple of viewer images. And if you do want to get your image critiqued on the show, all you've got to do is send them in to me using the email address down below. All the links are down below on how to do it. And I don't mind whether you send it to me through the Facebook Messenger, you email it to me, you could send me a WeTransfer or a Dropbox link, whatever. All I ask is that it's at least 3,000 pixels on the longest edge, so I get a decent sized file to play with, and that you give me the EXIF information. So if it's not embedded in the image because it's been focus stacked, or it's a panorama, or you've done something like HDR, that you give me the, what methodology you used, things like, was it on a tripod, anything that you did that was different, that won't be captured in the EXIF information. It's good to see what you can give me. All right. Peter Ponsel, it would be interesting to see Ben's own edit on the editing challenge for comparison. Oh, okay. Let me find it for you. Where are we? I have to go into my folders, image storage. That was Kayama. Bang. Oh, you know what? It is not going to be in. That's where I've exported it out of there, I think. Let me have a look. Here we go. I'll just flip screens and I'll see if I can show you. Get the technology working. Bang. All right, so these are all the images. Once I edit, I put them into here. That will be in here somewhere. Let's have a look through. Where is it? Ben's got too many images. I don't even know what order these are in. Maybe, oh, here we go. Here we go. So here's my edit. Bang. So that was my edit. As you can see, pretty similar to a couple of the other edits where I've pushed up the contrast, got the detail out, and brought this colour up that's on the rock. And just left it at the normal size. I don't think I even cropped it by the looks of things. So there you go. Good suggestion, Peter. I'll include that in future, actually, is what does my edit look like. Yeah, I'm more interested in getting everyone else having a go, but I'm happy to share my results. So hopefully you like that. There we go. All right, let's jump back into... Where was I? I'm about to start doing some critiques. Image critiques. Here we go. So this week I've got 2 images. I actually have a lot of images to critique come in all of a sudden, but that's okay. Keep sending them in, and I try and make sure I mix it up. And especially if new people send images in, I try and get those in pretty early. But I've got a fairly good, solid list of people's images to critique. Here we go. All right. So this week I've got a couple. I've got one from Stephen Cast here on the left. Stephen Cast is over in NZ, so beautiful shots. And then we've got one here from Amanda Keys, who is here for the first time, I believe, Amanda, and has jumped into the VIP group after coming to the Tassie workshops. So welcome to the group. In fact, Mike Healy was at last year's Tassie workshop, and so was Izzy. So there's a couple of ex-Tassie people, a few Tassie people jumping in here. So I'm going to start off with this one here from Stephen. Let me just go to... I want to fit this in. There we go. That's better. Alrighty. So this shot from Stephen, I haven't got a lot of information about it. He probably did put something in there for me in the email. Maybe I should have read that. Anyway. Beautiful shot. Looks like this shot was done at sunrise, so 6:18 in the morning on the 5th of May. Shot with his Canon 80D, 10 to 24 millimeter lens, 10 seconds at f9 at 17 millimeters, ISO 100. So from a technical aspect, awesome. Lowest, always get that ISO down as low as you can go, so you're not introducing any unwanted noise into your picture. Pick an aperture that's going to give you a good depth of field. So here he's picked f9, which I'd say with that wide angle lens is perfect. Never be afraid to go up to sort of a little bit higher than that if you want. But it depends what you're trying to do. He's got a 10-second exposure, so definitely going to be on a tripod to get this the clarity and the sharpness in his image. So that's all good, mate. So technically very nice. Let's jump into the develop module and have a look at composition and developing. So I really like the image. You can see the mist over here on the right. You can see the colours and the colour reflecting off of the foreground. I guess it's very difficult with a misty image to talk about contrast because mist takes away contrast, but it looks like there is a bit. This is a little bird here that's probably not sharp because of the movement that it was doing. But it looks like that is. So that must have been a very, very still sort of a morning. Nice reflections off of that. Bit hard to tell because of the size of the file, but I think that's fine. As I look around, everything looks pretty good. From a composition point of view, if we put the rule of thirds grid over, you can see that he's really well placed this pontoon right on an intersection. And that's a good key thing to do. And he's brought the horizon down to near this line as well. And that's something you want to do. If the horizon was more in the middle, it just wouldn't look right. So if it was something like that, you can see it's not as strong as a composition. So it's always good to think about the rule of thirds. Whilst that rule is there to be broken, always a fan of trying things that are new, but try and avoid things that we know don't work from other examples, etc. when we've done photography. What I will do, let's just zoom in nice and zoom right in and just have a look and just have a quick look. There is a fair bit of noise. I don't know, that's probably just to do with the file, so we're not going to pick on that. Just go through. I like to go through and doing this, I'll go back to 4:1 because it's quite a big file. zooming right in. I'm at 4:1, by the way, so it's a 400% zoom in. Doing this allows you to go through and just see anything that might be odd. And I can see these are probably stars, these little dots. That big one there, if we have a look, is the one that we can see. But there are some smaller ones that probably don't add a lot of value, like this one, these ones here. So I would be tempted to clone those out, because especially if you print them, if you print this, then they're going to just look like specks of dust. You've got to decide then, do you want to keep the star in as well? Like this one here, because it's just one sole star. For me, I would get rid of it, just simply because I don't think it adds enough to the image. If it was a moon or something, it might be different. Or if it was darker, it would definitely be different. Peter Bonds, well, here comes the pedo. It could be. Peter knows me really well. Along with things like this, this black post hanging out here. This one here, I think I would get rid of that. Same over here. There's a lot of black things over here that aren't clear what they are, and they're just distracting. So now I know this is for each person, we all have different different things that we do to our images, and things that we didn't mean to do that. Things that we accept. Some people are okay with removing things, other people aren't. I'm of the camp that says edit away, make it how you want it, so you get an image that you're happy with. So if I do the before and after on that, you'll see the before and the after. It just looks like those dark bits have now gone. This one here could definitely be done a bit better. So let's just go out a bit. Let's go to 4:1. Just going to give that a bit more of an oomph. There we go. So, when we look at the before and after, now I've done that pretty roughly. It hasn't done it great. So the other thing you could do, and if you don't know that you can do this, you can do a clone or a hill. So it is cloning. I obviously had it left on clone and didn't notice. So let's just go into a hill and see what happens. So I'm going to just delete these. Change that to a hill. Did that do any better? There we go. That's better. Okay, so now it's less obvious that I did that. But you can see those dark lines are now gone. And look, it's each to their own, but to me that was distracting. These ones I would leave. They've got nice reflections. They don't seem to be detracting from the image. But everything else I'd leave it as it is. This little dark bit of trees over here, it's been cropped a little bit too tight. So I would just bring that in just a tad and get rid of that. Once again, let's go to the before and after just quickly so you can see the differences. So before and after. Okay, very subtle differences so far, but the idea is not to go too crazy. Sometimes just remove a few little things to make it that little bit cleaner. Once again, it's up to you. Like I said, I'm a fan of removing things and changing things. I would be tempted to try and remove this bird. It's going to be hard in here. I'll do a heel on it and see what happens. Only because he's not clear, he's not sharp. So I'll do it in here. But normally I would do something like that in Photoshop and hope to. Let's do another one. Let's do a smaller brush now on this other bit of the bird, and we'll turn on. That didn't go to plan. There we go. Let me just bring this down here like that and see what happens. That's better. Not great, but you get the idea. I would do that in Photoshop because it's very hard to do in Lightroom accurately but you can see the difference if we go before and after. I'm just removing things. That still needs that little bit there cleaned up. I'm going to try. I'm going to push my luck and see if I can just remove that. They did a better job. There we go. So there's before, there's after. So you can just see it just cleans up those little spots that are a bit like what's going to happen with those little spots is it's going to make people go, what is that? And so I tend to want to get rid of those. That's just me. But up to you. Now, what I would do with this image is you could pano it. And someone's already had that joke because Ben is into his pano. So let's just do that quickly just so you can see what that would do to the image if you were to pano it. Maybe not that much of a pano. Something like that. It makes a beautiful pano. So you could definitely crop it into a pano. You're not really losing anything. And in fact, I think I would leave that. And the reason for that is that I'm now getting these leading lines coming in from the sides that are drawing my eyes in. And that looks really nice. So I would leave that. I can see I've missed a little star up there that's distracting me. So I'll get rid of that one. There we go. That's looking good. What else would I do? All right. So I think the exposure is good. I think the color is pretty good, but there's a bit of a magenta tint. So I might just try and remove a bit of magenta. And that can happen when you're using filters, depending on the filters you use. I'm just going to warm it up just a tad, add a bit more contrast. I feel it's just lacking a little bit of punch. Now, one of the new things that came out just recently in May, you might notice this new slider in Present. So if you look in the basic editing control panel for Lightroom now, they've added texture. Now, they're saying it's more for editing things like portraiture. But it's sort of like something that softens and sharpens things. So, you could use it if you wanted to. Let's just have a look and you'll see. If I go right in on this detail, oh, there's a hot pixel. Look at that. See, that's why you got to zoom right in. I don't know if you can see that right there. That is a hot pixel. It's a red one. And this is a result of you using your camera to do long exposures. So make sure you go through and get those because they will show up on any large print you do. So let's just go back to what I was talking about. So this pontoon here, if I bring the texture back, watch what happens. If I put it up, see what happens. So it's more like it's like a detail slider, if you like. So if you want to soften your picture, you can do that, and it softens it overall. So you can see that has made it look softer. And if you want to increase the detail, you go up. So that's what that texture is doing. Now, realistically, everything I've seen on this so far is talking about, using it for portraiture to be able to remove texture from people's skin, to soften skin. But I can see it being used in other applications as well. So just so you know what it does, it's just a new feature. You'll notice if you haven't updated your Lightroom, you can go up to here and you can go to update. Where is it? Updates, there it is. I don't know why I couldn't see that. You go to updates and it will tell you if there's any updates. And then once you have updated, you'll see under help. A lot of people don't know this. You can go to what's new. And if I click on what's new, you'll see it'll open up a page and explain to me what's new. So you can see here the top new features. Flat field correction, texture slider, support for new cameras and lenses, and other enhancements. So you can have a read through that. But they were released, as you can see, May 2019. So if you don't have the latest update, then go and get yourself the latest update, and that'll give you these new tools. Anthony says, love the pano. Makes a cracking pano. It does, doesn't it, Aussie Paul? I agree. I would print this and put it on the wall. There's a few more things I would do, though. I would grab my brush, grab myself some clarity, go over the pontoon, go over the horizon, just where the colour is, just to make it pop. Bring the blacks down a little bit just to give it contrast, because that haze takes a little bit of the depth out. Okay, I would then, let's just use the brush tool for a bit of fun, eh? Let's get another brush, reset clarity, increase saturation. Now you'll see that texture slider, we can actually use that with a brush or even a, like a local adjustment. So I'll show you, I'll give an example. If you zoom right in, you'll see there's quite a fair bit of noise in the sky. So one of the things you could do is how do we go about doing this? Let me see the best way. Yeah, let's do luminance. So let's create a get rid of that saturation. We've created a graduated filter, and you can see that right now the mask is covering everything. I'll turn the range mask onto luminance, and I'm going to pick things that are brighter. Okay, so you can see I'm going to go right up the top there. So you can see the mask is now just selecting the sky, the brighter pixels. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the texture on just those pixels. Okay, now what that does is if we zoom right in, it's going to reduce the noise up there, which it has significantly. I'm just going to get rid of that little spot and give us a nicer looking image. I think there's an imbalance in the exposure from the right hand side to the left hand side, so I'm also going to bring a graduated filter in from the left and just drop the exposure on the left a little bit, so I can sort of try and match the way the eye is drawn into the image. So there we go. Look at that. And I might just up the exposure just a tad. You're like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take that back. What's it missing? Maybe if I bring the highlights down a bit and then bring that exposure up just a tad. There we go. That's better. And then let's do the whites and the blacks. Get that adjusted. And then be careful not to use dehaze too much on an image that has the mist, because then you'll lose the ambiance, if that's such a word. All right, let's have a look and see what I did. Okay, so this is before and this is after. Before, so I can see how magenta that is. So I just adjusted the color. So be really careful with your images and that color cast, because it can. Now my monitor's calibrated, so that may be slightly oversaturated, that orange. Oh. So I'm just going to desaturate that a little bit. So if I go back to my brush, pick the one where I up that saturation and just bring it back. There we go. So that's before and that's after. Look at that. Just beautiful. What a top shot, eh? What a top shot. And I probably wouldn't do anything else. In fact, I would. I'm finding that I've probably overdone the clarity on that pontoon. So let's go back to a brush, pick this one here, and just back that clarity back a bit. And that's a good thing about Lightroom, is you can do all of these things. That's before and after. There we go. That's better. Before and after. So just look at the subtle differences. For example, like that graduated filter I used from the left and drop down the exposure. Just have a look at how it changes the way your eye is drawn into the image. All the little bits and pieces that I've removed, you can sort of see how there's some distracting elements and they disappear. And it is, cropping those shrubs out from the left as well. All those little things make a big difference. So, nevertheless, a beautiful shot, but just a few tweaks from a development point of view or post-processing point of view. And, this is sort of what you'd end up with. So thanks for sending that in, Stephen. Really, really appreciate it. That's a cracking shot. All right. So let me load up the next one. What do you all think of that shot? Was that good? Did you learn something? And and of course the new features in Lightroom. So if you haven't got those already, then at least you know what is available and how to find out what's available. Let me just jump into the next one. What's going on? Something happened. Okay. Perfect. All right. So the next one was sent in by Amanda. Thanks so much for sending an image in straight up, Amanda. That was very brave of you. But Amanda has just spent a week with me in Tassie. And, Amanda's a very brave soul herself. Took quite a tumble on the walk around the lake, bruised up her knees, broke her camera lens, but kept smiling. could have been negative Nancy after that, couldn't you? But you just kept on keeping on, which, I really admire, even though we went out to shoot some astro and we couldn't get a camera to focus, and it was because the lens was falling apart. And we didn't notice until the next morning, was it, maybe? I can't remember, but anyway, it was definitely falling apart. All right, so whilst I've got your attention, just quickly, if you're not following me on all the social medias, you probably are. Here's how you do it. So feel free to jump onto any of these channels and follow me. More than happy for you to friend me as well on my personal Facebook page. That doesn't bother me at all. I've got quite a few of you as friends on Facebook. I consider ourselves all friends. So if you want to do that, feel free. But you're going to see all my other crap, my personal life stuff. Up to you if you want to see that or not. All right, let's jump back into this then. Amanda's image. Check this out. How cool are these colourful sun rays? Now, I don't know how you've done this, Amanda, but they are awesome. You've got all these colours coming through. So Amanda says, taken at Mole Creek, Tasmania on Friday the 10th of May. So it was just after our workshop. Shot in RAW file format, processed in Lightroom on a Canon 80D, ISO 100, so good stuff. 4 seconds on a tripod, f13, 16 millimeters. So was this with your 16 to 35, is it? Oh no, this was with the 10 to 22. So that must have been your backup camera, I was about to say. All right, so from a technical aspect, everything's good. I think, ISO 100, always get that ISO as low as you can go because that reduces the chance of introducing noise, so really important. You've got 16mm, which is fine. f13, excellent aperture for a wide-angle lens, definitely, to get everything in focus because you've got some very close foreground here and you've got some quite distant, well, not distant, but some a couple of meters away from you. So you really want to make sure that you're careful when you are shooting something and you've got the foreground right close to your camera because it makes the depth of field much more difficult. That's why macro is such an issue. And you'll see that this one is not suffering, I don't think, from any. We'll zoom in very shortly and have a look. So from that perspective, really, really cool. I do love the sun rays. I don't know how you've managed to get these colours. That's amazing. I don't think I've ever seen that before, these rainbow colours in the sun rays. Very, very impressive. And I don't know how well you can see that piece, but look at that. It's like a rainbow of colours. Was it raining or misty or... Actually watching with my knee wrapped up still. You poor thing. I saw the photos of it on your Facebook page. It didn't look good. It looked like it was unhappy. Those colours are really nice. So maybe, did you see these with your naked eye, or have you brought these up later? I would love to hear from you. All right, let's jump into the develop module and take a look at some of the things that I think you could have changed about this image to make it better. And the first thing that I will say from a composition point of view, let's just whack the rule of thirds over it. I think you've done really well. You've got the water here on the intersection. You've got the rays coming and letting the eye into the water. All of that works really well. So that's good use of composition. I'm not a fan of things like this hanging out down the bottom here. So, and I think Amanda will know that I have a tendency to do some landscaping when I do my photography, depending on how easy it is to remove things. I think last year in Tasmania, I actually did a video of me removing logs out of the water, like getting into the water and removing some big ugly logs that had rubbish wrapped around them. There you go. The rays were visible. So Amanda's just answered me. Mole Creek, the little creek just outside the caves. Yes, the rays were visible with the naked eye for about 2 minutes. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty impressive, isn't it? Fabulous. So I'm not a big fan of leaving things like this in my images. Now, if I can remove them before I take the shot, I do, because it's always easier than trying to Photoshop things like that out later. This being in the water shouldn't be too difficult to remove, but I find things like that are just distracting. Along with this piece of branch, timber, tree, whatever this is here, I find them distracting and they don't attract, they don't add anything to the image, along with things like this dead palm frond here or fern frond. I clean those up, and just move them out of the way as much as I can. I mean, you can see there's a lot up here. Now, it depends on what you're trying to portray in the image, but to me, I would have just spent a bit of time cleaning those things up if you could. Maybe it's not possible. Maybe it was too slippery. Who knows? I've been known to grab longer sticks to, pull little sticks out and move things around if I can. And that's why it takes me so long sometimes to do a macro shot, because when I do a macro shot, sometimes you can't see what's on the fungi until you look at the preview and zoom in, and then I'll see something small on it and I'll move it around. So let's just see if we can do something with this here. Let's just see what we can do. Now, I've got a really nice big file here from Amanda. Now this is going to be really quite tricky because of this is going to be pretty tricky because of the sun rays and everything, but I'm going to give it a go just to give it a go. Let's see what happens. What if we do a clone work better maybe? So by the way, you can switch, I don't know if you noticed it, you can switch between clone and hill and see the difference real time as you go through and do a spot edit. So it's a really good feature of Lightroom as well. So I'm gonna try clone and see what I can do. No, I don't think clone is going to work. I think I'm going to have to. I would have to do it in Photoshop. I'm going to do heal for now. It's not great. It's not doing a great job. It's doing a terrible job. But Lightroom is not great at this stuff when it's more difficult like this. So we're just going to forget this edit for now because we're not going to be able to do a great job. Let's just we'll just do a little, so you get the idea, but you can see it's quite obvious. Well, maybe it's not quite obvious actually, but you'd be able to see that now that you know that I've done that. I would also do the same thing with these down here. So, this here, this stick, for example, I'll just show you the difference when we remove some of this stuff. So you get a feel for what I'm talking about. And I'm going to just, that didn't work. I just really want to give you a feel for the difference that it can make if you're willing to just remove things before you start. Just those two things. Can you see? I mean, that's all I've done. I've done nothing else. Can you see that has removed some distraction from what is the hero of the shot? The rays are hitting this little pond here, or this little, I don't know what you want to call this, lake, cascade, this part of the cascade. You can see that it has added some value to the shot. And that's really, for me, why I remove these things before I take the shot, because it is difficult once you get into post-production to remove these things. And I'm gonna do the same with this. It's gonna sort of work out, but it's not gonna be exact. I know how Lightroom behaves. That's why I'm stopping and starting, because I know what it's likely to pick. Not happy with that one. Okay, let's just do a bit there, and then I'll do this one. Yeah, it's struggling with that one. Let's just move that there. Pretty rough. You get the picture. I'm going to remove this one. So by the way I'm getting those scissors, I'm hitting the Alt key or the Option key, depending on whether you're using a Mac or a... What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a couple of quick edits, that one there, and then I'm going to come back up from down here and see. There we go, that's a bit better. Not perfect, but you'll get the picture. So let's just quickly preview that, just so you can see the difference of if you had removed that stick. Can you see how it just gives you that little less distraction in the foreground and really draws your eye into this spot here where the rays are hitting the water. So to me, that would be something that I would have done before I took the photo. So Anthony's saying, I don't bother with clone and heal in Lightroom. The latest Photoshop cloning tools have improved dramatically and are very easy to use. I agree. Normally, I would use Photoshop, but if you guys recall the issues I had with my computer when I tried to put too much load on it, and live stream at the same time. So I'm just very mindful of that. All right, the other thing that I think is going on here, it's very, very green. So there's a lot of saturation. So one of the things that you can do, and I wouldn't want to reduce the saturation in the rays, and maybe you've upped the saturation to do that. But if you go here to hues, saturation, luminosity, and colors, you can actually change the saturation of different colors. So you can see when I click color, I can pick the color I want to desaturate. So I'm actually going to pick green, and I'm going to desaturate it a little bit. Well, let's go all the way just so you can see. Okay. I'm also going to bring the luminance of the greens down. I'm also going to do yellow, because a lot of yellow is in green, right? So same thing. I'm just going to just drop it a little bit, not too much, because I want to keep what's in the other stuff. Now, if I go back to my basics there, I'm going to just warm it a tad, just because we've got sun rays coming in. And I'm going to overall, I think, try and bring down the saturation just a tad. No, I'm not going to do that. How am I going to do this? Maybe what I need to do is now, I'll grab a brush. Let's do this. Let's grab a brush. Get rid of saturation for a tick. Let's increase clarity and just go over any of these parts that we want to stand out more that's in the foreground. So the rocks that have the moss on them that we want. I would use clarity on the rays to bring the rays up. Let's do that. Now, one of the good things with a brush is you can select things and just enhance that one thing. So let's now get rid of clarity and bring up saturation. Ridiculous. I'll bring it back in a second, and just go over these rays again. I mean, they were already unbelievable, but I'm going to just really enhance where the rays are. Now I can bring the saturation back. I just go full because it just gives me an idea of what it's doing. You can sort of then see when you go from one extreme to the other, you can see what's going on. I'm going to actually just change the temp, cool the temp down on the rays. In fact, I think the whole image might need a bit of white balance adjustment. I warmed it up before, but I'm going to bring that back. Yeah, something like that. Increase the contrast. I think this one could definitely do with some sort of vignette as well. So I'm going to drag a filter, like a graduated filter from the top. Just drop the exposure a tad from the top. And I'm going to do the same. Just duplicate this. You can duplicate it, filter, flip it like that, drag it down. All right, and that'll give me my bottom. Slightly drop that exposure a bit more. There we go. Needs something. It's still very yellow. Just going to drop that temp a little bit more. It's very yellow. So I'm going to go back into the colors, and I'm just going to get this yellow and just settle the yellows down a bit, because the yellows are a little bit out of control. Just going to drop the luminance. So I don't know if you've ever done this before, where you can adjust the brightness of a color, but it's really quite effective as well. So just drop that down. There we go. All right. So that's the yellows. The greens, same thing. Let's just adjust those again a little bit. Try and get the right greens happening. There we go. It's a bit of a tricky one, this one, actually. Because of how green it is. I don't want to take the greens out of it. I'm just going to reduce the blacks and increase the contrast just that little bit more. Let's just draw those highlights a bit. There we go. Shadows up a tad. Let's just dehaze it just that little bit. There we go. All right. So to me now, I think, let's have a look. It's looking really good on my screen now. I'm going to put it on the light box so you can have a look. Look at the colours in that. What a great, you must have been jumping for joy when you saw that. So before and after. Before, so you can see before it was quite a little bit overexposed, a bit of distraction, a little bit hazy. And after, you can just see that extra depth and clarity. And by doing the changes that I've made, it really draws the eye into the rays and where it's hitting the water. So, that's, to me, that's what's important, is really thinking about distractions. I mean, like I said, if I was in this location shooting, you might not have had a lot of time because the rays were there just for a split second. So it can be difficult. I'm also, I would go through and clean a lot of this little rubbish up, so things like just that leaf there, for example. I would remove those. I would clone those out because they don't add any value. But that's just how I work. I'm a big fan of cleaning things up. Alrighty. So there you go. So thanks Amanda and Stephen for sending those images in. I really appreciate it. It's very brave to send your images in, and they're both great images. Really loved critiquing those, and really appreciate you sending those in. Hopefully everyone found some of the tips helpful and the changes that I made inspirational, and found your images to be inspirational. I did. They're very good images. So thanks for sending those in. All right, so a couple of reminders for you. We will have Pixel Chatter again in 2 weeks from today. So please send your images in if you want to have your image critiqued on the show. Details are down below on how to send that in, or you can just shoot me a message and shoot that in to me. That's fine as well. Don't mind how you go about doing that. I do have my Vivid 2019 workshop running on the 29th of May. If you haven't bought a ticket, there is only 3 tickets left. So a maximum of 8 people, and then I will decide whether or not I do a second night. I'm not sure yet, but I normally only do 1 or 2. It's not something I do a lot of, but I know that people really enjoy getting the help to get cracking shots at Vivid, and so I will be in there a few times, but I'll run a workshop definitely on that May 29th. So if you want to come along, it kicks off at 6:30, goes till 9:30. You get 3 hours with me, and all you need is your camera and a tripod, and I will help you with the rest. So come along and enjoy Vivid, and I'll help you get some cracking shots. Congratulations again to Michael Healy for taking out the challenge, and Jill Heath for being the honourable runner-up. And thanks again for everyone for joining me today for the show. It's been great having you tuning in. I really do appreciate it. All right, until next time, you know what I'm going to say. Get out there and take some photos. See ya.